European Union. Johnson's comment comes as the US National Security Advisor John Bolton on Monday said Washington would support a no-deal Brexit and would seek to work on a free trade agreement with Britain. Meanwhile, a Scottish court has fast-tracked a legal challenge backed by 75 MPs and peers that would prevent Boris Johnson suspending Parliament to force through a no-deal Brexit. A hearing in Edinburgh has now been set for next month. Let's get more on this now with Geraint Johnes. He's a Professor of Economics at Lancaster University in the UK. Welcome back to Money Talks, Geraint. Now, there's a lot to unpack in what just happened over the last 24 hours. Firstly, Boris Johnson has said the most important deal he needs to strike is one with the EU, which does sound a little bizarre given that he's looking to actually upset the EU by a no-deal Brexit. I mean, do you think the EU is going to make it easy for Boris Johnson once Brexit finally happens?
Well, it's certainly the case that the European Union is Britain's premier trading partner at the moment. 46% of UK exports go to the European Union. You compare that with countries like the United States, also in the news today, of course, because of John Bolton's intervention, and the trade level with the United States is substantially smaller, at around 18-19% of British exports go to the United States, and British imports, only 11% of all British imports come from the United States. So the EU is a much larger trading partner, as we would expect, because it's closer to the UK. And gravity matters. Being close to our trading partners matters. Even within the European Union, the largest trading partners that the UK has are four countries: Ireland, Germany, the Netherlands and France, and they account for most of the trade that the UK has with the European Union. So being close to our trading partners certainly does matter, and that is why the focus has to be on striking a deal with the European Union.
Yes, but given how adversarial Boris Johnson has been to Brussels, and given the fact that he's prepared to ditch the deal that Theresa May, his predecessor, had sealed with Brussels, do you think there would be much of an appetite for the EU to rush into a trade deal with the UK?
There are some games being played here, Oscar, and it's difficult to see what the ultimate objective might be. Maybe Boris Johnson is hoping that the European Union will capitulate before the end of October and that it will renegotiate, reopen parts of the withdrawal agreement that are not to his taste, particularly along the lines of the Irish backstop agreement. Now, I don't think that's terribly likely that the European Union will do that, but we have to bear in mind that if there is no deal and the UK leaves on the 31st of October, then there will be border arrangements needed in Ireland in any case. So the EU's position on this is one that is full of its own tensions as well. The other possibility is that Mr. Johnson is thinking that if we leave with no deal, then there will be time after that to negotiate a deal with the European Union, although the UK would then be in a somewhat weaker bargaining position than it is at the moment.
Now let's quickly look at this legal challenge that the 75 MPs and peers have launched against Boris Johnson's attempt to suspend Parliament in order to force through a no-deal Brexit. Do you think the courts are likely to rule in the MPs' favour, that is, stop Boris Johnson from pushing through a no-deal Brexit?
I wouldn't want to anticipate the outcome of that particular case, but there are several routes that are open now to MPs and parliamentarians more generally if they want to prevent no deal. And we know that the House of Commons voted against no deal earlier in the year. One thing that they could do, and there's a lot of talk about, is having a vote of no confidence in the Prime Minister and his government. And if that were to pass, there would be a 14-day period where the House of Commons could try to find somebody else who could command the confidence of the Commons. And that new leader, the new Prime Minister, interim Prime Minister then, would be able either to ask for a further extension of Article 50 from the European Union or negotiate a new deal themselves.
OK, let's see how that all unfolds. Geraint Johnes, a pleasure as always. Thank you.